Okay, so this is a completely new article. You've seen, hopefully, you've seen that there's two videos that we've added to the old blogs, but this is a completely new vlog article which will have a blog attached to it. And it has arisen from the fact that the other day I was talking to somebody who was asking me which are the better MVNOs to focus time on, I think is a better way to say it. You know, what is going to be likely to be more successful? A type of MVNO that's already done mobile, like for example an internet company that is adding mobile to its portfolio, or is it going to be an electronics company that has already sold mobiles, or is it going to be a media company, or is it indeed somebody who has never done mobile before? And it is interesting because there are many factors that can determine this, but I think ultimately what you have to bear in mind, there are things that people got a bit obsessed with. For example, Tesco Mobile in the UK, they did sell, I think, 2/3 of the prepaid handsets in the UK before becoming an MVNO. But I think at the end of the day, the one thing that you have to take into account is it's not about your experience, because the mobile and MVNO learning curve is very steep. It is very, very steep, and you're only going to survive that and be successful if the other ingredients are in there, and that is obviously having the right team in place, or having someone who's sitting above that team to ensure that everything is in place. But the key is going to be the driver about what you want to do, right? And what was key with every MVNO that's done this successfully is that they understood why they're getting into mobile. If you're getting into mobile because you think it's cool, or because it's it's a kind of something that you want to brag about, then no. If it's something that you want to get into because you know you have to, or because you know it'll enable loyalty, then that is what you need to do. There are many ways. I've got a diagram which I'll put in from one of the slides that I did in a workshop back in 2015 for the World Congress. But it's about knowing what are your priorities, and typically it'll be either stickiness, loyalty, or because your business is dying without it. And those are pretty much guaranteed success factors. And if you look at I remember, for example, Virgin Media in the UK were in a conference, and I think mentioned that 50% of the cost of running the mobile service, so this would be the capex and opex, is already amortized by the extra fidelity of their broadband customers. So if a broadband customer's average lifetime was, for argument's sake, a year, if they have mobile, it is longer. The supermarkets now pretty much all agree that a customer that has mobile from them will spend more of their disposable income at that supermarket. So if the average person, for argument's sake, never spends more than 30, 40 or 50% of their pardon me, supermarket spend in a given supermarket, when they have a mobile service from that supermarket, they spend pretty much all of their supermarket spend with that supermarket. One thing that was quite interesting was when my colleague Carl and I were speaking to one of the people who founded Tesco many, many years ago, and he said that what was very, very clear, became clear to them whilst they were running the service, is that if you have a mobile phone and on that phone it says Tesco, then every time you look at that phone you are reminded of that brand, and therefore the loyalty is right there. People look at their phone more often than they look at themselves in a mirror, more often than they look at their car. Actually no, not everybody more than they look themselves in the mirror, but the average person, it's more than they look at anything else, any other screen, anything. They look at their mobile phone. So if you are in the active lifestyle that we have now, and you want somebody to put all of their disposable income that they spend on a supermarket through you, then the best way to do that is to have the brand of your supermarket on the phone that is in front of them. If you want a person to be more loyal to you or to your bank, then you put the mobile phone in front of them. I spent a long time working on many projects back 20 years ago to try and get fidelity of customers through by using the internet and using previous methods, and there's a lot of money is spent trying to get, for example, students, trying to get school kids, and it's very simple. You know, if you get your first credit card or your first mobile payment system through a bank that is also the bank that provides your parents, and your parents get their first mobile payment, you know, what are the chances of you staying with that for a long time? They're very high. What are the chances that you'll put more and more of your money through that? They're very high. And the list goes on. You know, if you are a person who travels, you know, the average person's disposable income will be split across all the different airlines, because whenever they go to create a new flight, they may be in front of a computer that has an ad for this airline, they may be in front of you know, a billboard that has an advertisement for another airline. But if you've got a phone in front of them all the time, then that is where they're going to go. And it's the same for broadband, it's the same for a bank. And we're now seeing, for example, in banking, I mean, it's just, you know, nobody wants to go or can go to a bank anymore. You know, people probably had money. I mean, typically now these days people will, yeah, I've got 2 or 3 different virtual cards. I've got various banks, but the ones that I've been using the most now in lockdown are the ones that gave me the best digital experience. And honestly, the best digital experience you can give somebody, beyond giving them a mobile app or giving them a website that works, I don't know what's happening to my focus suddenly, is to give them access to a mobile service. It's that simple. And so ultimately, who is going to be the most successful MVNO? It's the company that understands exactly why they're going into mobile and what it will deliver them. And most often that is loyalty, or in many cases, for example, if you look at some of the calling card companies, it is just the ability to survive. But in doing that ability to survive, pretty much all of the calling card companies, because I've worked for quite a lot of them and enabled their mobile virtual network service, found that people used the calling card more. It's the loyalty. And what they found is that where people were using 2 or 3 different calling cards, they're more likely to use that calling card. Why? Because it's the one in front of them, it's the one they remember the most often, and more importantly, it's the one that had the direct dial number, etc., etc. There are lots of tie-ins beyond the pure loyalty, but so much money is spent on marketing these days that honestly, I believe one of the best bangs for your buck that you can get in marketing today of any product or any brand is to make sure that your brand is in front of them as often as possible. Now, that won't always necessarily mean having an MVNO, it could mean having a mobile app, but if you are not in front of people on their mobile phone, then it's going to be difficult. I hope this was helpful. If it was, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll get more of these things, because some of these topics we will be covering sort of quickly and with sharp insights in our webinars, which you may want to subscribe to, and then other things we'll be covering in more depth. And some of them will obviously overlap, so I think it strikes a nice balance, whereas some webinars try and get a bit too deep, but then they're not deep enough. We'll be able to hit that balance where from our webinars you will get a short, sharp, you know, amount of information that you need to give you the insights that you need, and then if you need the deeper insights, we'll then, you know, go onto our YouTube page, go onto our blogs, and you'll be able to get that information. And if it's not there, of course, contact us, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.